There are some projects that just excite me more than others, and this antique piano stool is one of them. Would you happen to know what this was if I didn't just tell you or you didn't read it in the video title? I didn't know what it was either at first. A friend of mine gave this to me over the summer, and ever since I've been trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to restore it. So here's my plan. The bottom part is pretty much intact. It just needs to be cleaned thoroughly. The center section I'm going to sand down and give a dark walnut stain. From here up, it's missing a lot of parts. So I'm going to build a center section that looks like this. I'll turn this on my lathe. I'm going to have to build a seat, drill a hole in here so the seat then can be raised and lowered. I can't wait to see how it's going to turn out, and I have a feeling the plans are going to change a little bit along the way. But that's part of the fun. So I came outside to start cleaning the base. What I was gonna do is use this wire wheel and start buffing this clean. However, when I did that as a test on the bottom, I noticed that it started to get real shiny. I almost made a big mistake. I was about to remove 100 years worth of patina. So instead what I did was grab my mineral oil and beeswax mix, which I made in a previous video. This stuff is great. It's got like 1,000 uses. I started to clean up the metal and it looks great. Check it out. Just rubbing it on looked 100 times better. Then I took a soft metal brush to it and it looked even better. Can you believe the difference? This is before and after. Often the time to buy something is when you don't need it. Let me give you an example. I picked up this walnut wood about 3 or 4 years ago at an estate auction sale for 22 bucks. Over the years I ended up using quite a bit of it. I've got about 4 pieces left. This is not the best stuff, but it's going to come in handy when I want to piece a bunch of the boards together in order to make my middle section. I'm also going to glue up some boards to make the seat. I want the seat to be 1.5 inches thick. So I think I can come up with enough wood here to finish off the project. I looked online and piano stool hardware is very expensive. They've got some cheap versions for about 20 bucks, but they have a lot of complaints. The good version, 75 bucks. I went to Home Depot and I bought some parts. I think it's gonna work. It's a bit of a hack. I got these 6 nuts and this washer 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna have my friend weld all this together. Then I'm gonna take that, drop it in the hole of the stool. This here is 3/4 inch threaded rod. I'm going to mount this flange on the top. This flange is from the plumbing department. Now, it's not a perfect fit. This is a tapered thread. This is a straight thread. So I'm going to tighten it as tight as I can get it, and then I'm going to have my friend also put a couple of welding beads right there. I think it's going to work. I hope it works. Otherwise, I wasted $8.69. I'm going to square up my block of 5 glued pieces before putting it on the lathe. Now after a lot of work, and a fair amount of finagling, the piano stool is really starting to take shape. Now, I say finagling because often when you're working with antiques, things are not true and round and square. But here's what I've got so far. I drilled large holes in the bottom and top of the center section using Forstner bits. I shaped this large dowel in order to glue the two sections together. The top holes I had to drill so that it would accommodate the threaded nut and washer assembly which I had welded together. I also drilled and countersunk 4 small holes to mount it securely. I also need to do more stain matching and fix this large crack in the base. It's been split for so many years that I wasn't able to squeeze it closed with a clamp, so wood filler is my choice. I'll end up using this extra stain and even some markers to match the color to hide the visible line. Now it's time to cut the round seat. I'm going to do this by making a jig for the bandsaw. Have you ever watched some YouTubers and they make everything they do look easy? Well, I just wanted to tell you that even me, I am not perfect. I tried using this jig, but it did not work out. I ended up getting some weird shapes on the circle. I think my blade had some movement in it on the bandsaw. So I ended up drawing a circle with a compass and cutting it out on the bandsaw by hand. Then I brought it over to the belt sander where I rounded the edges perfectly smooth. Anyway, I think it looks pretty good. This will still work. Using my router, I'll give it a nice rounded edge on both sides. I want to put a concave shape in the top of the seat. I'm trying this grinding wheel, which I picked up from Harbor Freight for under 10 bucks. Never used one before, so I'll first test it on a piece of scrap wood. It leaves a very coarse finish. This is equivalent to 24 grit sandpaper. But after I get the basic shape, I'll sand it smoother using 80 grit on my orbital sander. Now 150 grit, and finally a little hand sanding with 220. To keep the center section lined up and for added strength, I'm connecting them using 1/4 inch dowel rods. To match them up, I use these dowel centering pins. And when I squeeze that, you can see the glue start oozing out. So it's making good contact. Well, it sure came a long way from when it started out. Another piece rescued from the scrap heap. Well, thanks for watching Alley Picked. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I hope you'll subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I release a future video, just click on the bell. Until next time, I'll meet you in the alley.